We're back where it all started. An abandoned warehouse in an undisclosed location where our masked magician is about to reveal more of the amazing secrets behind magic's biggest illusions. Good evening. I'm Mitch Pileggi. Since we last met, magicians throughout the country have been outraged. They say we did something wrong and ordered us to stop. Well, guess what? We're gonna do it again anyway. Tonight, we'll reveal the truth behind magic's most closely guarded secrets, including the world's most dangerous illusion, Houdini's famous water torture escape. A warning, if you don't want to know how these tricks are done, better switch to another channel right now. For his first trick, the masked magician will perform an illusion known simply as the crush. The trick is to make it look as if our lovely assistant is being crushed inside this wooden box. As always, we'll start by showing you how the illusion is performed. Then we'll reveal the secrets of how it's actually done. Now for the second box. 2 more assistants step inside and sit down. When the magician gives the cue, a crane lifts the box into the air. Again, the doors are open to prove that there is no extra hiding space at the bottom of the box. It also gives you a chance to see some well-toned midriffs. Notice the first box is mounted on sawhorses, so you can see that the assistant didn't just climb out the back. Remember, this is a world-class magician performing these dangerous tricks. Please do not attempt any of tonight's illusions at home. The box is now slowly lowered, making it appear as if our assistant is being squashed inside the box. But if that were really happening, you'd probably hear her screaming right about now. Once the second box is completely inside the first, the doors are opened again. Let's see. She's not in there. Or there. It looks like our lovely assistant has been crushed under the weight of the second box. But we know there has to be another explanation. Once the doors are closed, the box is lifted back into the air. When the doors are opened again, we see that our lovely assistant has somehow managed to survive. Could it be magic? I don't think so. How did our assistant avoid the crush? Here are the secrets. Although it may look as if our assistant is being smashed, it is merely an optical illusion. We've cut out the side of the box so you can see that the back is actually built at an angle. This creates just enough space for our assistant to squeeze into. You need a very flexible assistant to pull off a trick like this, or things can get pretty messy. As soon as the doors are closed, the assistant moves to the back of the box and gets into position. Watch as she quickly squeezes her body into the tiny space. This must be carefully done, because there is a real danger of being crushed under the weight of the second box. Here's what it looks like inside. Talk about a tight squeeze. Once the doors are closed, the box is lifted back into the air. Now she has enough room to slide back into her original position and finish the trick. The doors are open.
And there she is, lovely as ever.
With the help of this very lovely assistant, the masked magician will now create the illusion of teleportation. Most of the time, assistants are used only as a diversion. Not in this case. Here she is a very important part of the trick. The magician wants you to get a good look at the assistant, and not for just the obvious reasons. He backs her up a flight of stairs and onto a platform. They dance around the top to prove that there is no place to hide. The magician takes out a handkerchief and ties the assistant's arms over her head. In order to make it appear that she is tied really tight, he uses 2 separate knots. He looks back to make sure she can't escape. Then the magician makes his way over to the second platform. He climbs the stairs, gets into position, and gives the cue. The curtains go up. When they come down, our beautiful assistant has magically been transported to the other platform. Physically impossible? Not really. While this is one of magic's most convincing illusions, you'll be surprised at how easily it's done. First, the magician ties a loose slip knot around his assistant's wrists, so she can quickly break free and drop to the bottom of the platform. But if she's merely hiding, then how could she be magically transported to another platform 10 feet away? Was it mirrors? A holographic image? Take a look. That's right, identical twins. But you need more than just twins to pull off a trick like this. You also need perfect timing and execution. Notice the illusion is staged on high platforms, so the audience can't see where the other twin is hiding. From this angle, you can see that when the illusion begins, she is already out of sight. The magician ties up our first twin, then makes his way to the other platform. When the curtain is raised, she breaks free and hides in a way only a limber dancer could. On the other platform, her twin sister hides in the exact same position, waiting to make her magical appearance. When the curtain is raised, she stands up, red scarf in hand. A warm hug from our magician, and the illusion is complete. Take another look. With the help of our split screen, you can see the simultaneous action. Virtually all major magicians use twins in their acts. And you thought all they were good for were gum commercials.
Coming up, the amazing secret behind the world's scariest illusion, Houdini's water torture escape. Plus, how to shoot an arrow through a woman's body without drawing a drop of blood.
Now the masked magician will turn one of his assistants into the strongest woman on Earth, the Lady of Steel. You've probably noticed she's already got abs of steel, so that's not the trick. In order to transform flesh and blood into solid steel, he must first hypnotize her. She fixes her eyes on the crystal pendant. I bet you didn't know that our magician was also a master hypnotist. It looks like she's fallen under his spell. Suddenly, her body goes limp. The magician is now in complete control of her mind and body. She appears lifeless and weak. But not for long. He commands her arm to rise. I told you he was in control of her body. Then he uses his magical powers to infuse her with superhuman strength. Amazingly, her arm is now capable of supporting his entire weight. he repeats the process with her other arm. I wonder if this is how Supergirl got her start. Again, he uses her arm to lift himself off the ground. He makes sure that she's still in a deep trance. Then he calls for his other assistants. They climb up the ladders and get ready to put the Lady of Steel to the ultimate test. It seems impossible, but she is now supporting more than 200 pounds on top of her arms. Is this really the world's strongest woman? Don't bet on it. How did he do it? This trick is done with a little sleight of hand and a lot of help from this ordinary-looking chair. As for the magician's incredible hypnotic powers, he has none. But you probably knew that. Now, here's what you didn't know. While it looks like he's turning his assistant into a Lady of Steel, he's only doing this to block your view. This is so you won't see him secretly pulling out metal bars that are hidden in the back of the chair. This is what it looks like without the assistant. Here's something else you didn't know. The chair is actually made of welded steel. It's painted to look like wood. It's also bolted to the ground, so it can't move. Although it appears that the assistants are climbing out onto her arms, they are actually standing on the metal bars. This requires excellent balance and coordination. Meanwhile, our Lady of Steel must keep her arms perfectly still so the audience can't see the bars. And that's how it's done. Now for a classic illusion, the vanishing scarves. First, the magician shows you that these are ordinary scarves. They look pretty ordinary. Then he stuffs the scarves inside a glass tube. Watch carefully and see if you can figure out the trick. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Presto. The scarves are gone. How did he do it? You've heard that the hand is quicker than the eye. Well, this trick proves that scarves are even quicker. What you don't see is that the scarves are hooked to a short piece of fishing line that runs up the magician's sleeve, behind his back, and along his other arm. When he extends his arms, the fishing line is pulled tight, and the scarves disappear into his sleeve. Even in slow motion, it's hard to see. We always knew that the masked magician had something up his sleeve. Now, our magician will defy the laws of physics and walk through this solid brick wall. First, he'll demonstrate his amazing powers with the help of this ordinary egg. He pushes the egg into the wall, and it vanishes. Now, on the other side, he magically pulls the egg through the solid wall. Yes, the egg is real. And so's the mess. Now it's the magician's turn to pass through the wall. Special screens are brought out. Watch as his shadow moves toward the wall, then disappears into it. Now the assistant gets a chance to try out her dramatic skills. She acts as if the magician is stuck inside. She looks and listens for any signs of life. The screens are brought around to the other side of the wall, and the process is reversed. Now it seems as if the magician is emerging from the center of the wall. The screens are removed, and the trick is complete. Now let's find out how it was done. For starters, the wall really is made of solid brick, so that's not the trick. As for the egg, well, from this reverse angle, we can see that this is a simple palming trick, like when your favorite uncle makes a quarter disappear, then reappear out of your ear. Take another look from the front. While it looks as if the magician is pushing the egg into the wall, from the reverse shot, we can see it's really just tucked behind his thumb. It remains hidden in his hand as he makes his way to the other side of the wall. From the front, the egg is still concealed from view. But with the reverse angle, we can see how he makes it appear as if the egg is coming straight out of the wall. He cracks it open to prove that he wasn't using a collapsible egg. Now the assistants bring out the screen. A light is turned on so you can see the magician's shadow. Here's what it looks like from the front. As the magician moves toward the wall, our magical lighting director slowly fades the light. It now seems as if the magician has disappeared into the wall. After moving to the side of the screen, he makes his escape. The assistant examining the wall is merely a distraction that allows the magician to get inside the screen. As the assistants move the screen to the other side of the wall, you can clearly see that the magician is walking inside. This must be done carefully, or the audience might see his feet or shadow. That would pretty much ruin the trick. The screen is put back into place and the process is reversed. He moves forward, as if magically materializing from the center of the wall. But we all knew that it was just one big trick.
Still to come, the trick that may reveal the greatest secret of all, the master magician's true identity, when magic's biggest secrets are finally revealed.
It takes more than just secrets to make these illusions appear so amazing. It's the showmanship of the magician that creates the ultimate effect. Let's go back inside.
For his next trick, the masked magician will bring this ancient suit of armor to life. His assistants wheel out a large crate and move it into position. Both the front and back doors are opened, and the magician makes his entrance. Piece by piece, he begins to build the suit of armor. It is made of solid steel and once fully constructed will weigh more than a full-grown man. This is one of magic's oldest illusions. Some believe that it dates back more than a century. As the suit begins to take shape, you can almost feel the life force flowing into the armor. At least I can. The magician fastens the right arm to the torso. Let me assure you that there is no place to hide inside the crate. Now for the other arm.
He picks up the helmet and puts it in place. Finally, the suit of armor is complete. The doors are closed. First the front door, then the back. But wait, the magician has forgotten one very important piece: the sword. This is supposedly the key to the armor's magical powers. The assistants perform a ritual dance. I'm not sure if that's going to help bring the suit of armor to life, but it works for me. When the doors are opened, it looks as if nothing has changed. But looks can be deceiving. The masked magician holds out the sword. Suddenly, the suit of armor comes to life. How is that possible? Here are the secrets. As the crate is slowly brought out, the magician is already inside. And so is an actor dressed in a suit of armor. Notice that when the crate is opened, the back door is opened a split second ahead of the front door. This gives our actor just enough time to hide from view. This simple misdirection makes it appear as if the crate was always empty. Now the magician assembles the suit of armor. Once the front door is closed, the magic really begins. Our actor hustles inside the crate and moves the suit of armor into position so it can be concealed from the audience's view. Outside, our dancers are doing a great job of distracting the audience. This is important because it takes our actor quite some time to strap the suit of armor to the back door. So when the door swings open, the empty suit of armor will be out of view and our actor can take its place. The front door is opened and the audience has no idea that they are looking at a duplicate suit of armor. Our suit of armor comes to life, and the masked magician has done it again. For his next trick, the masked magician will shoot an arrow straight through his assistant's body, without drawing even a trace of blood. He blindfolds the assistant in order to spare her the horror of looking down the barrel of a loaded gun. The magician moves across the stage and is handed a specially designed rifle. He checks the barrel, then asks for the ammunition he'll need to discharge his weapon. The gun is cocked and ready. Now for the arrow. Since it will be traveling at a high rate of speed, he ties a ribbon around it so you can follow its path through our assistant's body and into the target. He loads the arrow into the barrel of the gun. Now he's ready to fire. He gets down on one knee, takes aim, bullseye. You can see that the ribbon has traveled straight through our assistant's stomach and into the target. That's gotta hurt. Let's watch it again. The arrow passes through her body and into the center of the bullseye. But where's the blood? And what is the secret? In order to understand how this complicated illusion is achieved, let's check out each of the elements. First, the gun. While it is real, it never actually fires. The shell is a blank that merely creates a puff of smoke when the trigger is pulled.
Next, the arrow. Although it's loaded into the gun, it never leaves the barrel. The end of the ribbon is tied to a thin piece of fishing line that is virtually invisible to the naked eye. The fishing line runs behind the magician's arm and body to keep it hidden from view. The ribbon is loosely wrapped around the arrow so it will easily slip off during the trick. When the illusion begins, the fishing line is already strung along a path that runs from the ribbon across the floor and into a metal tube concealed beneath our assistant's dress. The fishing line enters the tube, goes around her body, out the back of the tube, and into a hole in the center of the target. See our magical stagehand behind the target? He's there for a reason. We'll tell you why in a minute. Meanwhile, the fishing line continues out the back of the target and is attached to a sandbag hanging 30 feet above the warehouse floor. At the moment the gun is discharged, the sandbag is released, and its weight pulls the fishing line and ribbon straight through our assistant. Let's take another look. The magician fires. The ribbon is pulled from the gun, through the tube that wraps around the assistant, and into a hole in the target. I know what you're thinking. If the arrow never leaves the gun, then how does it hit the target? Here's the secret. A second arrow is actually concealed within this vertical black stripe. Behind the target, our stagehand waits to release the arrow on cue. See the arrow dropping into position? Seems complicated, but it's really pretty simple once you know the secrets.
Coming up, the amazing secret behind Houdini's famous water torture escape, when magic's biggest secrets are finally revealed.
Now, for a trick that threatens to reveal the masked magician's true identity. Here's the setup. One of his assistants plays the role of the executioner. The magician must escape from the bag before the executioner removes his mask and reveals his identity to the entire world. Could this be the trick that ruins the masked magician's career? First, the magician's hands are bound. Then the executioner blindfolds him and places him into the bag. Next, he is positioned behind a three-sided enclosure. The bag is pulled tight and locked. The doors are closed and the clasps are tied. Now the executioner puts on her hood. She moves all the way around the enclosure. Even though dressed as the executioner, she's still required to dance. Just part of the job. The executioner opens the doors and reveals that the magician is still trapped inside. Will he manage to escape before being unmasked? The doors are closed and secured. The executioner moves around the enclosure one more time. Then she opens the doors again. Time to pull off the magician's mask. But wait, that's the executioner. Then who's under the hood? And you guessed it, the masked magician. What a surprise. How did he do it? First of all, when the trick begins, a second assistant is already hiding behind the enclosure as it is rolled onto the stage. The assistant is also dressed in an executioner's robe and hood. But that's not all that's hidden behind the enclosure. There's another executioner's robe and hood, as well as a second magician's mask, hanging on the back door. You'll find out why in a minute. Out front, the executioner puts on her hood and begins to dance around back. That's where the first switch happens. The executioner removes her hood, while the second assistant takes her place and dances around to the front. Meanwhile, the magician is still locked inside. He unhooks a secret link in his chains so he can free himself from the bag and trade places with the executioner. The executioner grabs the second magician's mask and through a secret back door switches places with the magician. Once inside, the executioner puts on the magician's mask. While all this is happening, the second assistant is out front creating a diversion with a dagger. This gives the executioner enough time to finish putting on the magician's mask and get inside the bag. When the doors are open for the first time, the audience has no idea that a switch has been made. They don't realize that the original executioner is now in the bag, pretending to be the magician, while the second assistant is now disguised as the executioner. Meanwhile, the magician is hiding behind the enclosure, putting on the black robe and hood so he will look like the executioner. Now, the second assistant moves behind the enclosure and hands the dagger to the magician. The magician picks up where the second assistant left off and continues around to the front. He opens the doors. The audience thinks it's our magician who's about to be unmasked, but we know better. The mask is removed, revealing the original executioner inside the bag. And with his identity still a secret, it's none other than the masked magician. You've seen magicians make doves magically appear. That's easy. Now you're gonna see them disappear. The magician opens a special box. These are real doves. Nice birdie. He loads the first one into the box, then closes the lid. Now for the second dove. Easy there, little fella. In you go. A little hocus pocus, and suddenly, the doves are gone. How did he do it? You're probably thinking the doves are up his sleeve. Well, they're not. From this angle, we can see that the doves really are loaded into the box. Here's the first one. Now the second. Don't send us any letters. They're not being hurt. The lid is secured, and now for the trick. The lid has a secret compartment where the doves are hidden. When the magician hands the lid to his assistant, she makes sure to conceal the secret compartment. See? There they are. Our two feathered friends perfectly comfortable inside the lid. Not very magical, is it? Now the masked magician will perform an illusion known as the Box of Pain. Only a true professional should attempt a dangerous trick like this. He opens the box to prove that it is completely empty. This is the unlucky assistant who must endure the Box of Pain. He makes her kneel down, then puts her head inside the box, where it remains for the entire trick. She has no idea what's in store for her. The box is closed, and her wrists are handcuffed together. Now for the sword. It is a real sword. In fact, it's so sharp it appears to glide straight through the box and into our assistant's head. Quite unpleasant. Now for the daggers. You can almost feel the assistant's pain as the first one is plunged into the box. Since the box is about the size of her head, the natural conclusion is that she's being impaled. She clenches her fist as another dagger is driven into the box. What did she do to deserve this? I can assure you that the assistant's head is inside the box and not behind it. It seems impossible that she's still alive, but she's still moving. That's a relief. Another dagger cuts through the box. Watch as she flinches in pain when the blade is inserted. It hurts just to look at it. Now the box is riddled with blades. But that doesn't stop our magician. There's always room for one more. The final blade is inserted. You might want to cover your eyes for the next part. It won't be pretty. But wait a minute. Her head is gone. A bizarre decapitation? Or just another trick from the masked magician? While it appears that there is no way to survive the box of pain, there actually is a logical explanation. As you can see, the box is much deeper than it appears from the front. This gives the magician plenty of room to insert the blades both in front of and behind our assistant's head. But how did he make it appear that our assistant had been decapitated? The answer is simple. Mirrors. While the magician distracts you with the handcuffs, his other assistants are actually sliding the mirrors into place on the top of the box. So instead of seeing our assistant's head, we are now seeing reflections of the inside walls of the box. From this angle, we can see the mirrors slide into place as our assistant shifts her head backward. The sword also plays an important role in this trick. It covers the seam between the two mirrors, creating the illusion that you are seeing all the way to the back of the box. As for the blades, they are carefully inserted into the box so they surround our assistant's head without cutting into her. The blades come so close that they actually pass through her hair. The doors are opened, and the optical illusion works to perfection. Pretty tricky, huh?
When we return, the masked magician risks his life to reveal the secrets behind magic's most dangerous illusion, Houdini's water torture escape.
Most tricks aren't very dangerous, but this one really is. The masked magician will now risk his life to perform Houdini's famous water torture escape. He inspects the torture chamber to make sure that it is airtight. There are more than 500 gallons of water sealed inside. The lid of the chamber is lifted, and the magician begins mentally preparing for this dangerous trick. His wrists are handcuffed by one of his assistants. Now his feet are shackled inside the lid. Once he is tightly secured, the crane hoists him into the air. Timing is crucial in a trick like this. Blood is rapidly rushing to the magician's head, increasing the odds that he will lose consciousness while underwater. He is trying to keep calm and lower his heart rate so he can hold his breath as long as possible. Again, this is a dangerous trick that requires tremendous physical skill. He is put into position. He takes one final breath and gives the signal that he is ready. Into the water he goes. Since there is no extra room in the chamber, water begins to pour out onto the floor. The assistants secure the lid and lock it closed. Now the magician has been underwater for almost 30 seconds. The curtain comes up. How long can he hold his breath? Hopefully, long enough. We move completely around the chamber to prove that he has not merely slipped out the back. He hasn't. The curtain is now partially raised. The magician is still inside, struggling to escape. Will he make it? The curtain goes down again. Time is running out. The tension is mounting. It's going to take some real magic to get out of this one. The curtain goes up. But where is our magician? There he is. A little out of breath, but none the worse for wear. How did he do it? The key to this daring escape is in the lid of the chamber. You can see that the magician's feet are shackled and that the lid is locked down tight. You can also see that the locks are real. But what you don't see is the assistant sliding the pins out of the hinges of the lid. So even with the locks on, the lid is easily opened. When the curtain is raised, the magician uses a handle hidden inside the lid to pull himself up. He pops through the unlocked lid and takes a much-needed breath. He drops down again, and the lid closes back into place. He dives to the bottom of the chamber and begins to struggle just in time to show the audience that he is still underwater. When the curtain goes down again, he removes the handcuffs, which are specially rigged for just such a trick. See how quickly he breaks free? Once loose from the handcuffs, he uses the handle to pull himself up and completely out of the torture chamber. He closes the lid to make it appear as if it is still locked tight. While the audience is wondering if the masked magician is still alive, he is merely waiting for his cue. The curtain goes up, and Houdini couldn't have done it any better.
Magic's biggest secrets finally revealed. We'll be back in a moment.
Time for our magician to go back into hiding and start preparing for our next show. I can't wait to see what he comes up with next. I'm Mitch Pileggi. Good night.